The diamond on your finger, or the one you're saving up for, is not rare. There are literally warehouses full of them, billions of carats, locked away, deliberately hidden from the market to keep prices artificially high. And the company that did this controlled over 80% of the world's diamond supply for most of the 20th century. This is the story of De Beers and the Oppenheimer family, and the greatest marketing con in human history. Here's what you need to understand before we go any further. Diamonds are carbon, the same element that makes graphite in your pencil. The only difference between a diamond and the tip of a number 2 pencil is pressure and time. Structurally, chemically, it's the same stuff. So why does a 1-carat diamond cost $5,000? Why did you feel like a bad partner if you didn't buy one for your engagement? The answer has nothing to do with geology. It has everything to do with one of the most sophisticated, long-running psychological operations ever run against the general public. An operation that invented a tradition, manufactured scarcity, and embedded itself so deeply into our culture that even people who know it's a manipulation still buy diamonds. Stay until the end of this video, because there's a twist in this story about who's really profiting today that I promise you haven't heard before.
It starts, as many world-changing stories do, completely by accident. A 15-year-old boy named Erasmus Jacobs is playing near the Orange River in South Africa. He spots a shiny stone, picks it up. His mother thinks it's pretty but worthless. A neighbor named Schalk van Niekerk disagrees. He sends it to a geologist. The report comes back, 21-carat diamond. And just like that, a continent that Europe had spent centuries treating as a resource extraction zone for ivory, slaves, and gold suddenly had a new treasure. Within 3 years, over 10,000 people had flooded into the region. By 1871, the Kimberley area, right in the heart of South Africa, was producing diamonds by the bucketful. But here's where it gets interesting. This diamond rush had a problem: too many diamonds. When supply floods a market, prices crash. The early diamond traders could see the math clearly. If anyone could dig up a diamond, they'd become worthless, like finding seashells on a beach. Enter Cecil Rhodes. Rhodes arrived in South Africa in 1871, aged 18, suffering from tuberculosis. Doctors had given him 6 months to live. He was supposed to farm cotton with his brother in Natal. Instead, he took one look at the Kimberley diamond fields and made a decision that would shape the next 150 years of global commerce. He started buying, not diamonds, mines. One by one, year by year, using loans, persuasion, and occasionally methods that historians describe politely as aggressive negotiation, Rhodes consolidated the chaotic, fractured mining operations into a single entity. In 1888, he merged with his biggest rival, Barney Barnato, after a negotiation that reportedly lasted 24 hours straight. Barnato reportedly cried. Rhodes handed him a check for £5,338,650. In today's money, that's roughly $750 million. De Beers Consolidated Mines was born. And from day one, Rhodes understood something that no one in the diamond business had grasped. The product doesn't matter. Control the supply. That's the real business. He wrote it himself, and I'm paraphrasing, that diamonds' value depended entirely on their being kept scarce. Flood the market, and every diamond on Earth becomes worthless overnight. That one insight, hoarding supply to manufacture scarcity, would run De Beers for the next century.
Rhodes died in 1902, and here's where most people think the story gets boring. A great founder dies, company coasts. That's not what happened. In 1927, a German-born Jewish diamond trader named Ernest Oppenheimer took control of De Beers. This one man who had started as a diamond sorter in London at age 16, who had emigrated to South Africa, who had survived 2 world wars,
would transform De Beers from a mining company into something closer to a global government. Oppenheimer immediately centralized everything Rhodes had built and went further. He created what he called the Central Selling Organization, the CSO. Think of it as a global choke point. Every diamond mined anywhere on Earth had to pass through this single pipe. De Beers would buy them all, sort them, package them, and release them into the market in precise, controlled quantities. It's exactly what OPEC does with oil today, except De Beers did it first, and did it better, and did it for diamonds, which, unlike oil, have no industrial necessity driving demand. Most people think De Beers' power came from owning the mines. The truth is, their real power came from owning the buyers. They had a list of preferred customers called site holders, roughly 125 companies worldwide. Twice a year, these site holders would come to London or Lucerne and receive a box of diamonds. They didn't choose what was in the box, they didn't negotiate the price, they either accepted the box, paid for it, and left, or they were removed from the list permanently. That's not a market. That's a feudal system with better lighting. And here's the part nobody talks about. When new diamond deposits were discovered, in Russia in the 1950s, in Australia in the 1980s, in Canada in the 1990s, De Beers didn't panic. They bought the discoveries, or they made deals with the governments directly. The Soviet Union, in the middle of the Cold War, had a secret pipeline arrangement with De Beers to sell their Siberian diamonds through London. Two ideologically opposed superpowers cooperating in secret to keep diamond prices high. Let that sink in. The Cold War was happening, nuclear weapons were pointed at each other, and underneath all of that, the Soviets and De Beers were business partners. But controlling supply is only half the equation. The other half, the truly genius half, is what happens next.
The Great Depression has just ended. Diamond sales are collapsing. American men don't want to spend money on rocks for engagement rings. That tradition wasn't even standard yet. De Beers is facing a genuine existential crisis. So, Ernest Oppenheimer's son, Harry Oppenheimer, hires an advertising agency in Philadelphia called N.W. Ayer. And N.W. Ayer produces, in 1947, 4 words that may be the most profitable sentence ever written in the English language. A diamond is forever. Think about the genius of this. They didn't just sell diamonds, they attached diamonds to the one human emotion that has no price: eternal love. They made it so that selling a diamond secondhand felt like selling your marriage, like admitting your love had an expiry date. Before this campaign, there was no established tradition of diamond engagement rings in America. After it, not buying a diamond ring made you look like a bad partner. By 1965, 80% of American engagement rings contained a diamond. They didn't just market a product, they manufactured a cultural norm from scratch. And the data De Beers collected was chillingly specific. In internal documents, some of which became public through court proceedings, they tracked the suggested spend, 2 months' salary. That guideline wasn't based on diamond costs, it was calculated to maximize purchase size while remaining psychologically achievable. They reverse-engineered what you could afford and told you that's what love costs. Now, here is where we have to hold 2 things at once. Because at the same time De Beers was running the most romantic advertising campaign in history, while you were being told diamonds represent eternal love, here is what was happening in South Africa. Black South African miners were working under the apartheid system. In the De Beers mines, black workers were housed in closed compounds, essentially prisons, designed to prevent them from smuggling stones. They were searched intimately, routinely. They could not own property, could not vote. Their labor built the empire whose profits funded the advertising campaign that convinced your grandparents that diamonds equaled love. Ernest Oppenheimer himself was not an architect of apartheid. He occasionally pushed back on certain policies, but De Beers as a corporation operated comfortably within the system and profited enormously from its labor economics. This is not a footnote. This is the foundation.
A diamond is forever advertisement was, in a very real sense, built on that foundation. By the 1980s, De Beers controlled approximately 80% of the world's rough diamond supply. The Oppenheimer family's net worth had grown to billions. Harry Oppenheimer, Ernest's son, ran the company from 1957 to 1984 and was described by The Economist as one of the most powerful businessmen alive. He was once asked in an interview whether it bothered him that diamonds' value was essentially manufactured. His answer was remarkable for its honesty. He said that all luxury value is to some extent artificial. The question is whether you can sustain the belief. They had sustained it for a century.
The crack, when it came, wasn't from a competitor. It came from a reporter.
We can't maintain the
The
price
late
point.
1990s, a Canadian journalist named Ian Smiley begins documenting how diamond revenues are
Blood
funding
diamonds
civil
ignite a global
wars
media
in Sierra
firestorm.
Leone,
De Beers
Angola,
faces
and the
calls for
Democratic Republic of
accountability.
Congo. Rebels were
Documenting
selling
the
diamonds
trade.
to fund
Diamonds for
weapons.
guns, right
Children
here.
were
These are the
soldiers.
stones.
Villages
The
were
weapons
massacred
now.
for mining
Here,
territory.
take
The term blood
Keep your
diamonds
eyes
entered the global
open.
vocabulary.
High quality.
And suddenly, the
best
eternal
yet.
love
We'll take
story
them.
had a different image underneath it.
In Zimbabwe's
De Beers
Marange diamond
scrambled.
fields,
They were
soldiers
facing
violently
something
enforced
that control
control.
of supply
These gems
couldn't
are
fix,
clean.
a control of narrative that had slipped away from them. They issued statements. They supported the Kimberley process, an international certification scheme launched in 2003, which was designed to verify diamonds as conflict-free. Critics, including Global Witness, the organization that originally exposed the problem, later withdrew support from the Kimberley process,
Amidst the granite
calling it
cultures of the
deeply
Metopos,
flawed.
the founder
Diamonds
of
from
Rhodesia
areas
is
with
interred.
documented human rights
Thus
abuses
passes
were
a-
still passing through as certified. But here is the twist that almost nobody knows. In 2011, after over a century of family control,
still.
the
Don't move your
Oppenheimers
mouth, I
sold their
said.
entire stake in De Beers to Anglo-American. The entire family stake gone.
Time to
They
go.
walked away with
One last look.
$5.1 billion.
So big.
An era ends
Why?
today.
Because they could see what was coming. Lab-grown diamonds, chemically, optically, and physically
In
identical
2024
to
labs to
mined
grow flawless
were
diamonds.
about
This
to
process
become
disrupts
commercially
traditional
viable.
methods, yielding
And if a
perfect gems
machine
with
can
precision.
produce a perfect diamond in 2 weeks for $300, what happens to the scarcity myth you've spent 130 years building? The Oppenheimers took the money and left. Anglo-American is currently the majority shareholder of De Beers, and they are struggling. Diamond prices have
This one
fallen
is beautiful.
40%
And to guide
since
you, we have this.
2022.
2-month guideline is right
Lab-grown
here. It's a bit
diamonds
high.
now
It's an
account for
investment in your
nearly
future.
20%
The
of
terms are
retail
clear.
diamond
Let's
jewelry
proceed.
sales in
Agreed.
the US.
It's the right move.
The illusion
It's
is
done.
cracking.
A new chapter.
Here's why this story matters today, right now, in 2025. Lab-grown diamonds are real
I have no
diamonds,
choice in
not
this selection.
simulants, not
I accept
cubic
the terms without
zirconia,
negotiation.
identical in
In 2024
every
labs to grow
measurable way
flawless
to
diamonds.
mined
This process
stones,
disrupts
and they
traditional
cost
methods,
80
yielding
to
perfect gems
90%
with precision.
less. A 2-carat lab-grown diamond that would cost $15,000 mined can be purchased for $1,500 to $2,000. And yet, the major jewelry brands are still marketing mined diamonds as inherently superior, more real, more romantic. They're running the same psychological playbook De Beers invented in 1947, just updated for Instagram. They're not selling you carbon, they're selling you the story of carbon. Meanwhile, and this is the hidden connection, De Beers itself now also sells lab-grown diamonds through a sub-brand called Lightbox. Think about that.
for that.
The
That's
company that
ridiculous.
built its entire
2,000, and it's
empire on
absolutely
natural
perfect,
diamonds
honey.
are rare and precious, is now also selling lab-grown diamonds. They're hedging. They're covering both sides. The Kimberley process, the international
seen
system
that
meant to
pebble
stop
shock?
blood diamonds, is
Patience,
widely
my
considered
friend, this
broken
may
by the
change
very
everything.
NGOs that
Change
helped
is just
create
a
it.
stone.
Diamonds from
Documenting the
Zimbabwe's
trade.
Marange
Diamonds for
fields,
guns, right
where there
here.
are
These are the
documented
stones,
reports
the
of
weapons now.
military
Here,
violence
take it.
against miners, have passed
Keep
through
your
as
eyes
certified. The supply control
quality,
system that Ernest
the best
Oppenheimer
yet.
built has
We'll take
fractured
them.
but hasn't disappeared. Russia's
quotas are
Alrosa,
failing, we
the
can't
world's
maintain the price
largest
point.
diamond
We are
producer by
losing control
volume,
of the
still
pipeline. This is
operates massive
unacceptable.
pipelines.
What is the
Sanctions
strategy
after
now?
2022 complicated
diamonds
things,
ignite a global
but
media
diamonds are
firestorm.
small,
De Beers
portable,
faces
and
calls for
difficult to trace.
accountability.
The
In
infrastructure
Zimbabwe's
of control
Marange
that
diamond
De Beers
fields,
built
soldiers
over
violently
130
enforce
years
control.
shaped
These
the
gems are
entire
clean.
global diamond trade.
The terms are clear. Let's
Certifications,
proceed.
its pricing
Agreed.
norms,
It's the
its
right move.
marketing language.
It's done.
Even the
A new
competitors
chapter.
operate within a market structure De Beers designed. Here is the question I can't stop thinking about. The Oppenheimers
The
didn't
prices
lie
are
to you
collapsing.
exactly.
What is happening?
They just
The market is flooded.
very,
Stones are worth
very
pennies now.
carefully
We'll be ruined. This is a
decided what you would
disaster.
believe. They created a tradition that didn't exist, attached it to your deepest emotions, built it on labor exploitation, sustained it through a global cartel, and then sold it to you as romance. And it worked brilliantly for a century. But here's the thing that really haunts me. The diamonds sitting in your ring right now, or your mother's ring, or your grandmother's, does it mean less because a company manufactured the tradition around it? Does the love it represents become less real because the scarcity was fake? Maybe the answer tells you more about how humans work than it does about diamonds. We need stories. We need meaning attached to objects. We will pay extraordinary sums for symbols, and whoever controls the story controls the price. De Beers didn't just sell diamonds. They proved that you can sell anything if you own the narrative long enough. And that's a lesson every corporation in the world has learned and is using right now. If this story made you see something differently about marketing, about value, about what we're actually paying for when we buy luxury goods, drop a diamond in the comments. Just that. I'm genuinely curious how many people already knew parts of this and what surprised you most. And if you want to go deeper, next video, we're looking at another family that built a different kind of empire, one built not on diamonds, but on debt, and the way they shaped every mortgage, every loan, every financial crisis you've ever lived through. You don't want to miss that one.